Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Play Stellaris Newbie Tutorial Series. I'm your host, Colors Fate. Now before we get started, I want to point you to my standalone tutorial videos for Planetary Management and Trade Routes. Those two video series are condensed tutorials for those specific topics that both run less than 45 minutes and are packed with information. This tutorial series is a Let's Play series. I'm going to play the game, and while I play, I will explain every decision that I make. Now before we get started, we need to talk about victory conditions because they affect the type of faction that you want to play with. One caveat to this is that a lot of players don't care about the defined victory conditions in the game. They just play the game until they're happy, and then they stop and start a new one. I prefer defined victory conditions myself, so I like to play for a specific goal, and in this game there are basically two ways to win. The first way to win the game is by having the most power at the end date. When you're starting a new game, you'll notice that there are 3 years defined in the game. The mid-game start year, the end-game start year, and the victory year. When the victory year is reached, the faction with the highest score wins. It's that simple. The other way to win the game is by purging the galaxy of all other factions so that you are the only species left. This requires turning off the victory date by moving the slider all the way to the right. Now that that's out of the way, let's select a faction and begin the game. The first thing you do when you begin Stellaris is select a faction. Factions on the upper left with the phoenix symbol are custom factions that you create. The rest of the factions are default factions that the game provides. Now before we start playing, I want to take a second to go over this custom faction that I've made and why I'm playing it. If you click on the edit button, it'll bring you up with all the different things that make your species your species. The most important part is the government and ethics portion. When you're creating a new custom faction, they all start with 3 ethics points. Choices on the outer ring cost 2 ethics points, and choices on the inner ring cost 1 ethics point. And then if you want to play the Gestalt consciousness in the center, that costs all 3 points. Your ethics will determine what kind of authority your faction can have. So for instance, a democracy or a machine intelligence or a hive mind. And then your ethics and authority choices will determine what kind of civics you can choose. Each faction gets 2 civics choices. For this faction, I've chosen Mechanist and Technocracy. The Mechanist because I start the game with 8 pops being robots, and with the technology and infrastructure to build more robots. You automatically start the game with the robot making technology, and that's one of the things I want to show off in this tutorial series. In order to choose the Mechanist civics, I have to have some degree of materialist. In my case, I'm fanatic materialist, but regular materialist would have worked just as well for this one. The other civics choice I made was the Technocracy because Capitol buildings replace some administrator jobs with science directors, and researchers also produce unity. I really like both of those things. But in order to choose this civic, I had to be a fanatic materialist ethic. Regular materialist wouldn't get the job done. Finally, the last ethics choice I make here is authoritarian. This gives me a 0.5 monthly influence gain. It's twice as much as you get from being egalitarian, and I don't have to be a democracy, which has really frequent elections. Here, I just have to elect a new ruler upon death of the old one, and I really like the way that this actually works. Once you're happy with your faction, just save it and then hit done. And the game will take you to the game details screen where you can set up a new game. Now, if you hit reset to default, the game will set up for a medium galaxy of 600 stars, and it will also turn off Iron Man mode, which disables achievements. We're going to change a few things on this. First off, we're going to go for a small galaxy of 400 stars. It's plenty long enough for this tutorial series. Second thing we're going to go down is down here and turn on Iron Man mode so that we're eligible for any achievements I might have missed playing earlier. The next thing I'm going to do is randomize a couple of elements. The first thing I'm going to randomize is advanced AI starts. On a small map, the game is going to choose a minimum of 1 AI advanced start. You can move the slider over to select more so that anywhere between 1 and 6 of the AI empires have an advanced start. We're going to randomize it. Either none or one of them is going to get an advanced start. I'm also going to randomize the number of Marauder empires that show up in the game, either 0 or 1. There are several other options on this screen, and I'm not going to cover all of them, but I am going to cover the next 3 that are kind of important. We are going to use a victory year condition. I'm going to play until the year 2500, and then if I have enough power by the end, we'll win. We're also going to up the difficulty to captain. I feel like this is very balanced. for new players. You can play on Ensign, that's also a good one to learn on. And then we're going to turn the scaling difficulty on. Now, very briefly, I want to talk about difficulty scaling. When you raise the difficulty to something above Ensign, to Captain, Commodore, Admiral, Grand Admiral, what you're doing is granting the AI bonuses to production and attack rates and all kinds of other things. This doesn't make the AI any smarter, it just gives them a big advantage. Now, if you leave the difficulty scaling off, then what happens is the AI gets these bonuses from the difficulty level from the very start of the game, and those bonuses continue all the way through the game until the very end. If you turn the difficulty scaling on, however, what happens is the AI starts with no bonus at the beginning of the game, and as time rolls by, they gradually get the bonus until they receive the full effect of the difficulty bonus at the very end of the game. So now that the preamble is out of the way, let's start playing. And here we are, episode 1, the Newbie Tutorial series. This is the first screen you'll see when you open the game. It gives you all the information about your species and a little piece of text to read here. We're going to begin, and you'll notice the game starts paused. I'm going to click this up. There are several different speeds that range from normal speed, slow, slowest, all the way to fast and fastest. We're going to play on fastest. You can hit the space bar to pause it. We're going to play on the fastest to start the game. And we're going to scroll back and take a look at the galaxy to see where we are. One of the first things you'll notice probably that's different from my game than your game is right here in the center of the galaxy, mine is dark. This is a mod that makes it dark because the default game center galaxy is very bright. So I will put the name of the mod on the screen. I recommend you go get it. It'll just make it easier on your eyes. The other thing you'll notice is in the upper right hand corner, the outliner. Mine has thin elements compared to the fat ones that you may see on your game when you first load it up. This is also a mod that makes this UI a little nicer. I will put that on the screen as well. You should go get that mod and download. They're very easy. Just do it through Steam. Alright, I know Stellaris is very intimidating when you first load it up, and I certainly thought it was as well. It's actually not that complicated. Up here on the top is your resource bar, and this is going to be something that you will look at a lot. Let this be your guide. When things are red, you want to try to fix them. At the very start of the game, you don't have any researchers doing any research. So that's the first thing I always like to click on, is let's click on that and get our researchers started. There are always 3 sections of research: physics, society, and engineering. They each start the game with 3 choices, and then as you go through, you can unlock new choices. You can expand the number of possible choices here through some other research and some traditions. So we're going to start with this. I'm going to choose, let's see, I'm either going to choose physics researchers or research speed. Let's just go with research speed. Notice up here, each one of these people, each one of these research leaders has something like this. This is an ability of theirs. It's a trait. This one is the Spark of Genius. His research speed is plus 10%. When they match whatever they're researching, like this is Voidcraft, this number will bump up. And also, something to note here, each one of these guys can level up. You can see that his skill is level 1 of 5. He can have a max level of 5 for his skill. Through tradition choices and research and things like that, you can raise their maximum level. Every time that they level up, they're going to get more bonuses. You can see right now at level 1, his research speed is 2%, his survey speed is 10%, and he has archaeology skill of plus 1. All these things go up over time as they level. So the longer your leaders can stay alive and the more levels they can gain, the more powerful they can gain. And so science leaders, for instance, can really provide you. Old science leaders that live for a long time that reach their maximum level can provide you with significant bonus to your empire. So when you're thinking about creating a custom faction, leader age might be something you might want to consider. For this, This, I really like starting off with this. First of all, this little lock symbol says this technology will lead to further advancements in capital buildings and influence gain. Also, it's going to increase our monthly unity by 2. So I'm going to choose this, and then we'll very briefly talk about unity up here, this little swirly symbol. Unity is used to unlock traditions. So let's talk about that after we choose our last research. Right here, we can choose afterburners, or we can choose more research or armor. I'm going to choose more research, and then we're going to go talk about traditions. Hit the F8 button, and you can see your traditions. There are 7 possible traditions, and each one of them has 5 bonuses within them. When you unlock one of these traditions, then you can start to choose from this list, and when you get all 5 of these, then you unlock an ascension perk. Now, ascension perks are pretty powerful things, and this is why you want to unlock these. So as you earn unity, this meter is going to go across this board. You're going to earn unity, and in 29 months, at the current rate of unity that we're earning, we'll be able to unlock one of these traditions, and then we'll earn unity again, and we'll be able to unlock one of the things. This helps kind of shape your empire. These are all just bonuses to your empire that are very nice to have. Alright, let's get down on our planet and get started, and then we'll talk about some of these other things as we go along. Actually, let's go through the resource bar first. Energy credits are used to maintain everything. Everything from your buildings to your ships to your star bases, everything requires some form of maintenance to it, and this is often energy credits. There are sometimes secondary resources that are considered also that are necessary for maintenance costs, but energy credits are prime. Everything needs energy credits for maintenance costs. Still, that said, they are not the king daddy in the game. The king daddy is minerals. You want to focus on this. You need as many minerals as possible. You need minerals to build things on your planet. So for instance, I have one open building slot. You'll notice the mineral cost over here for all these: 180, 360, 270. You need minerals to build stuff. And here's the thing. Focus on mineral generation, because even if you have a surplus, you can sell the excess to earn energy credits. I said this in my planetary management tutorial. You should go watch that if you're a new player. Focus on minerals first, energy credits second, food third when it comes to these 3 districts. When it comes to the other things, buildings, research obviously is king. The faster you can move your research along, the bigger of a leg up you can get on the AI, but also consumer goods if you are a species that requires them. Not all species require consumer goods, so that's something to think about when you're creating or trying out different factions. You need alloys to build things. Alloys are used for spaceships, star bases, and the like. So this is something you want to grow and have stockpiled so that when you need to rush build a whole bunch of ships for a war, you can have it. Influence is something that you just gain monthly just by default. Factions can increase it, and also you noticed we took a trait as part of our government. We took this authoritarian so that our monthly influence gain gets a plus 0.5, and that is why by default we would have started with plus 3. We get plus 3.5. Influence is used when you want to claim one of these systems around you with a constructor and build an outpost there. You need influence to do it, and also you need influence when you're trying to conquer an enemy. So we'll run into other factions later on, and we'll eventually run into a war, and when we do and we want to claim systems from them and then go to war to try to win those systems, we'll need influence to claim them. And last but not least, we can also use influence for edicts. Edicts are things that last a very long time that provide bonuses to your empire. For instance, this is a good one to start with. Map the stars. It lasts for 11 years and it gives my survey speed plus 25% and an anomaly discovery chance plus 10%. Right off the bat, I'm going to enact that and use up all of my influence that I had. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to take this science ship. This is our 4th scientist in our empire, this person right here. We can see them. They're busy commanding the ship, and they have an anomaly research speed of plus 50%, so that's a nice little bonus to get to start with. And we're going to send this person surveying around. Now, if you hold the shift key down while you right click on these and select these, you can give them multiple commands at one time. So we're going to have him circle around and try to find some other planets for us to colonize. And then we're going to hit the spacebar and go. We have a little fleet here that we start with. Everybody starts with this tiny little fleet. And then we also have a constructor. Now, the constructor is what we're going to use to claim these systems by building outposts. But we don't have enough. We don't have enough money or resources to do that just yet. And anyways, these systems have to be surveyed first before we can go build outposts in them. So we have to kind of follow along with our science ship. So the first thing, the discovery of alien life, there are these little messages that'll pop up. Some of these are just descriptive, but most of them will tell you something that's going on in a system and provide you with a bonus to this one. This is just saying, we may not be alone out here, and look, by virtue of the fact that this happened, we gain 150 science society research. And there's also 2 planets in the system. One is a continental world, which will be perfect for us to colonize. Contact report, Planetary Anomalia. So I'm not going to pause and read all of those. You can pause it and read all of them if you want to. This means our scientist has discovered an anomaly in the system, and it's going to take some time to research it. We can change to a different scientist if they have a particular bonus that we want. Leave it be for now. I always just hit research on those. Just research them while they're going along. While he's doing that, we're going to get our constructor ready. We have... Every system that you're in will have some of this. Some things that you can mine. You can see them down here. There's energy credits right there. There's mineral credits right there. All these things. If they're green, that means we're collecting it. If they're not, if they're plain white numbers like these are, and this one over here, it means we need to build stations on there with our constructor to gather these resources. So our constructor, we're going to right click, and we have enough minerals now, we can tell him build mining stations and build the research station. It's 100 for each station on each one of these planets. So he's going to fly around and he's going to start building these things one by one by one, and he's going to collect those, and those resources are going to be added to our totals up here. So you notice we started the game negative in energy, and already we're a little bit positive. Okay, 42 years and 3 days. A closer scan of the debris field around this particular system, Pauter 3, has led to the discovery of an airtight capsule containing an atomic clock that measures time with unparalleled precision. A lot of times these events will give you choices. You can say it's a bomb, destroy it, and we'll earn some engineering research, or we can just say keep an eye on it, and we'll also gain some engineering research, and something may happen later, so we're going to keep an eye on it. Let's see what happens. Down here on our planet, we have one of these slots open. Okay, contact report remnants. The Biofort Supremacy abuzz with news of alien remnants that were recently discovered. So let's pause the game right here. I want to talk about this. I go over this in great detail in my planetary management video, but I want to start with this. We have 27 pops, 8 of them of which are robots. And one of the big reasons that I wanted to start the game as a technocracy, as a mechanist society, is to show you robots and robot modification. So we have these robots down here. Now, robots by default can only work the 2 most primitive jobs. They can work in the mines, or they can work food. That's all they can do. They can't work any of your more impressive jobs. But we start off with 8 of them, so 4 of them are in the mines and 4 of them are working food. And we have the robot assembly plant already on the planet. Otherwise, if you don't start as a mechanist, it can take some time to research this. It can take some time for the option to even pop up. We start with it, which is great, because not only are we growing new people because of birth and the fun part that makes birth happen, but also because we are assembling robots. So we are effectively doubled our population growth rate in the game by starting off with robots, which is fantastic. Later on in the game, we're going to unlock technology that allow us to provide robot modifications. So we'll be able to have different versions of robots with different traits. And when we go in here, we can click on this and we can tell it to build a specific kind of robot, Right now it's just building the generic robot, and all we can provide for those are mining jobs or food jobs. So that's what our robots are doing right now. We have one free slot on this planet to start building something, but we don't have enough minerals yet to really build anything. So we're just going to leave that there.
Anomaly
roll
found.
through the game, and this person's going to keep finding anomalies. Now, as soon as I can, one of the things I like to do, as soon as possible, is build a second science ship. Because that costs us 100 of these alloys up here to build that ship, and then it's going to cost us some money to go hire a second researcher.
Construction complete.
The science ship, I'm going to pause the game again. The science ship will not be able to survey without a scientist running it. So that lets us know that our construction ship finished building the stuff in the system. And now I'm going to tell them to build that last mining station.
Construction
and now
complete.
we have a science ship, so we're going to pause. We're going to go down here and we're going to assign a leader. All these guys are already busy, so we're going to hit the recruit button and we're going to hire somebody. Now this is what's nice. This person here has a survey speed of plus 25%, which is actually really nice. This is physics particle research. I'd like to have him doing that. But we're going to choose this because surveying and getting out there right now and getting everything discovered is really important. So I'm going to take that, and this guy's going to go up here, and I'm going to send him off in this direction to survey that. So now I got 2 surveyors working for me, which is great. It's possible when you start earning influence a little faster, it's possible to have 2 or 3 constructors going on at the same time, but I usually find that for the first several years of the game, 1 constructor is enough because I just don't have enough influence for him. He's going to go over here and he's going to be busy making the systems, and I'm going to be right on the cusp of always just barely having enough influence. Now we've earned enough unity for our first tradition. So here's where things get interesting. Discovery is one that I really like because you can see here the effect. Survey speed increased by 35% and science ship disengage chance. That's your chance to disengage from a potential hostile threat without being destroyed. Doesn't come into play very much. And then research alternatives increased by 1 and the science level cap increased by 2. So this is a good tree to start with early. So is expansion. I like expansion for new colonies start with 1 additional pot, but this is actually not nearly as big of a deal as this is. So I always adopt this first. You have to spend 1 thing of tradition just unlocking it. And then the next time we earn in 29 months, we'll actually be able to select something. So there we go with that. And when our capital, when our home world finally earns an, okay. So he found another anomaly, and then here's the next thing I want to do. We finally have enough to build something, and the first thing, all these cost a lot for all this stuff, but actually the very first thing I want to build is the thing that's the cheapest, the Apocaplypse monument. This allows culture workers to turn consumer goods into unity and society research. More unity, which means we earn traditions faster. So I try to put an Apocaplypse monument on every single planet, and it's usually one of the first 4 or 5 buildings that I try to get down on a planet. So we're going to build an Apocaplypse monument. It's going to be great. I'm going to do that.
Construction complete.
And that means I'm done with all the mines in this system. So I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to move him here because this is the next place he's going to build. So I might as well start moving there now. Another event, the giant skeleton. You can see down here when I hover over it, it says, Issues Special Project, Investigate Giant Skeleton.
Situation log updated.
So he tells us the situation log, which is F2, and you can see here this. You'll have a bunch of things in your situation log as the game rolls by. We can track this on the map, so if I scroll back here and hit track, you can see that it's right there. I have a science ship present, and if I tell this ship to investigate this thing, then it'll do it. Some of these are timed, and they'll have a timer on them, so you want to keep track of those and have your science vessel work on those. So our guy here, he's surveying, and he has a bunch of orders. So what I want him to do is I want him to survey this system, and then when he's done, I want him to research the project in the system. So I changed his orders. So instead of just going around here and surveying everything, he's going to survey and he's going to research this little project. Sonified science. This earns us research for society research and physics research. Now, I've read all of these a lot of different times, so I'm not going to be reading. Again, you can pause the game and read that. You can pause the YouTube video and read that stuff yourself, or you can. And so here we go. A leader has gained a level, our governor. So that's something else we should probably stop and talk about. I talk about this again in my planetary management thing. Sectors have governors. Right now we have, this is the sector map mode. So when it's highlighted, this is our sector. On your planetary screen right here, cannot delete sector because it's a core sector. This will show you the planets in sector screen. But the way sectors work is wherever the home of the sector is, whichever planet it is, up to 3 systems away is what the game will grab and include in that sector. And that means that the guy who's governing that sector with whatever bonuses he has will be applicable to all the planets in that sector. This particular guy made a level. His adaptability is now 25%, and resources from jobs are up to 4%, and crime is -6. So he's got a couple decent little bonuses there. That's nice.
System survey complete.
All right, so that system is fully surveyed, which means we're now going to tell our constructor here. Oh,
Construction complete.
oh no, that one's fully surveyed. This one's still being done. That's great. So there's a continental world over here. There's a continental world over here. There's also an arid world, but our habitability is 20%.
Special project complete.
Alright, so he finished researching that. So you can see down here these 2 worlds. This one's green, and so it's a continental world size 14, and we have an 80% habitability for it. Oh, and the Ute Empire. This is one of the larger chain of event things that happens in the game. There are several different ones, and every time you play the game, you'll get a different one, or you'll get one. It doesn't mean you'll get the different one. I've got this one a lot. The Ute Empire. We have received artifacts from an ancient alien civilization. Our scientists think they inhabited this region of stars roughly 6 million years ago. Based on the age of the artifacts, the aliens call themselves the Ute and appear to have been very large and flat arthropods. So now we have that adds to the situation log as well. And what we're going to do is, it says recover artifacts, 0 of 6. So as our science vessels are crawling over the galaxy here, researching things, they're going to find anomalies in systems. And when they research those anomalies, if one of them is applicable, then it's going to advance this research. It's going to advance this special project for us. Now this science ship right here, he still needs to finish surveying that system. When I changed his instructions, I didn't do a very good job of it.
System survey
okay, now
complete.
He's done. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to tell him go survey that, go survey that. And then in the meantime, the next thing I'm going to do is tell this guy build an outpost. It costs 75 influence and 100 alloys. So clearly, we were talking about earlier, influence is important and you need it to be able to expand. So that's why I liked choosing that particular ethic, because it gives me the extra 0.5 earned every month, which helps my influence add up faster, which helps me expand faster. You will hear people saying the words wide versus
system survey complete.
Wide versus tall
Construction
empires.
complete.
So I'm going to pause the game and talk about this real quick. You'll hear people saying wide versus tall. Tall meaning they only want to have a few planets and they still want to be superior with only a handful of planets. Wide players being like, I'm going to conquer the whole galaxy and I'm going to colonize every single planet I can. I'm going to grab every single system I can. I'm going to conquer my neighbors and I'm going to control the whole thing. I'm a wide player because mathematically more is better. That's the simplest way to put it. The game has certain nerfs in it to try to keep it from being so obvious that more is better, but it's math. More is better. We've got our second tradition. So I'm going to choose this one because survey speed increased by 35% is a big deal. especially early in the game. So that's our tradition. You can see on our building, the little icon up here went away because we made this building, and now we have cultural workers. You can always go down here and see what people are actually doing in these various jobs. Roboticist. We have 2 cultural workers that are now earning us 3.4 unity per month and 3.6 society research per month. They have an upkeep of 1 food and 2.5 consumer goods. Now, one other thing to note, sometimes I like to try to get ahead. You can see right here, I'm going to need amenities soon. Amenities help keep your people happy, which helps keep your stability high. If your stability is above 50%, then you get some bonuses. They're not huge bonuses, but like everything in Stellaris, a little bit goes a long ways. Here we get resources from jobs plus 6%, trade value plus 6%, and immigration pull plus 4% for having a 60% stability. If you don't have things like amenities, or if you're short on housing for your people or other factors, your stability can tank, and then you take huge negatives. You don't want that to happen. So the other thing I was going to say is right here you can see available jobs. It'll tell you how many jobs you have in your strata. For instance, our highest level strata is ruler jobs, and remember that we chose a technocracy, so some administrator jobs get replaced by science directors instead, which we did here. And we can go see what that science director is doing. In fact, we can look at this and we can say the administrator provides plus 8 amenity and produces 3.4 unity. The science director provides plus 5 amenities, but he produces 6 of each kind of research. So that's one of those nice little bonuses of being a technocracy. But in addition, it tells you all your jobs and it shows you what you have open. The number right here says we only have 1 free available job, so the next person that gets popped out is going to take that job, and we're about to pop out a robot. So what is the free job? It's a clerk job. The clerk jobs cannot be worked by robots. They can only be worked by people. So I have a robot that is just about ready, and I'm going to have robot unemployment. So I'm going to plan ahead here and create 2 jobs for this robot that's about to come out. I don't always get a chance to plan ahead. In fact, you'll see me, I mostly play from behind. But what happens up here in the outliners, you're going to get little icons that are going to tell you, oh, there's unemployment on that planet.
Research
and that
complete.
means you need to go find more jobs. So the first research that we got done, which is great. And now here's 3 more choices, and all of these are really nice things that I want to have. But this pop growth speed lead to further advancements in biological enhancement and adaptation, which are things I really want. I also want farmers, and I also want the off-world trading company, but I'm definitely choosing that.
Research
I'm going to choose that because adaptation and being able to change your species to provide more benefits is a big deal. You'll see down here in a species I have me and I have robots, and I was talking earlier about how you can do robot modification. Robot modification will allow you to add more traits to your robots. Well, you can also have species modification, which will allow you to have more traits. For instance, my species is intelligent, so they add plus 10% to all the different kinds of research. So I like to be able to modify my robots to add more of these, and I like to be able to modify my species to add more of these. So that's why I'm going for that research. Here, research speed plus 5. Now we have a bunch of different things. There's a cost associated with all of these. And what I typically do is, if there's not something that I'm dying to get, then I try to pick something cheap and move on from there. This technology will lead to further advancement in several different fields, it says. So I'm going to choose that since it's got the lock symbol, and several different fields can mean all kinds of things. So I'm going to pick that. That's why I'm going to do that. Now we notice we have a continental world over here.
System survey
and a continental
complete.
world over here. This is fantastic. There's 3 worlds real close by, and a 4th one that we'll be able to terraform later.
Anomaly found.
So this is fantastic. Our construction ship is doing nothing, so we're going to have him build a research statement because we're finally making some minerals. We can start to build some things. Once you start to get your minerals really stockpiled, then you can just go. with your constructor. You can he can go as fast as you have influence. These things always come up. You can see all your scientists here gained levels. I never worry about clicking on these because it's enough for me to know that they gained a level. I don't need to inspect them and find out what exactly they did. Okay, now planet build speed. This means that when you're colonizing a new planet, the colonization process will be faster. So we're going to grab that because we're going to be colonizing these planets in the near future. The breathing rift. An anomaly found close by Osik, however unlikely, appears to be some type of rift in space. Keep a close watch on it. Issues a special project, breathe in, breathe out. It can be studied. That'll add +4 physics research to that system that we can mine permanently forever. Or do this and gain 300 experience. I'm going to issue the special project.
Situation log
I like
updated.
having special projects. They're kind of fun. This one takes 26 months right now because of the cost of the
System
research.
survey complete.
Up here, you can see your total research. And this research screen, we're doing 91 total. We're doing physics research of 30. As our researchers gain level and as we build more research buildings and as we collect more research from the systems, for instance, there's some engineering research right there, then the cost of this will go down. So when this special project gets down, since it's not timed, since we don't have to do it soon, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till this gets down to single-digit months, and then I'll research it. Because clicking this research button and causing it to research this, you can see right there, it says any current physics research will be put on hold while this is being researched. So we're going to save this until it's cheaper to do later. Alright, this science ship, if you right click on it, it'll take you to that ship. I'm looking at where we're at. I'm going to have him go out here. Habitable world survey. This is another thing. You can say we have more important things to focus on and it'll give you 20 influence. Who cares? 20 influence is nothing. I'd rather start the habitable world.
Situation log
I'd rather
updated.
start this. So the habitable world survey kind of works like the precursors. As you research things around here, as your science ships research stuff, this is going to go up. Second tradition. We're going to choose this because scientists leader cap being improved by 2. Now remember, it was a max of 5, but it increases to 2 to 7. They're not there yet. So we don't even have to choose this one yet for research alternatives. Research station output increased by 10%. This is actually a smarter play right now, I think, because the scientist level cap isn't going to come into play right this second. We just saw all of our scientists leveled up to level 2. They're not at level 5 yet. And the research alternatives isn't a big deal yet. So we're going to choose this. And that other vertical roll will become more important later. Now, our Empire capital and our construction ship. This construction ship is ready to build something else. He's ready to build an outpost over here. 75 influence for that. And then over here on this planet, we have one more job. How fast is our population growing? We're about ready to spit out another robot. So we need to get ready to build another mine over here. And then we have something we can build here. You can see we're already down to 4 consumer goods surplus a month because everything uses consumer goods. Whenever you see a lot of these buildings, everything in this game is input, output. You earn mineral credits and you turn them into buildings. You earn food and consumer goods get turned into research or alloys. You can see right here what this produces. But all these workers, you can go down and see what they're doing. Their upkeep is minerals, food, and consumer goods. Every single one of them is going to have consumer goods for upkeep. So every time you're getting a new worker, you need consumer goods. Except for robots, which is nice. They have an energy cost upgrade. But this guy, he's a person, so he has a consumer goods. He needs his consumer goods. He needs his Nintendo Switch, and he needs his pizza delivery, and those things, He needs stuff. So I'm going to build another civilian industry there. But the other thing is commercial zone. this allows me to pump up more trade in my home system. And if I turn this on, let's see, where is it? Oh, this button right here. You can see the trade. I'm collecting 8 trade from this system. I could produce more trade to collect in this system, and that would bump this up because trade means energy credits. So I'm going to do that actually. I would like to have more consumer goods, but the fact that I'm in the negative on energy credits is also a little bit disturbing already. Now I can start selling some minerals to bump that up, or selling some excess food. Yeah, I think commercial zones, I build one on every single planet that can be put along a trade route. So I'm just going to build that now. And then the next thing we build will be a civilian industry probably. And now we're just floating along, waiting for something. This is nice over here. You can see there's 8 minerals over there. That's a nice place. Most of the time when I play this game
Construction
on
complete.
these size of maps, I'm going to make some more mining stations there.
Anomaly found.
Most of the time what happens is there's 3 ways in and out of whatever system I started, and that's the case here too. There's one off in this direction, there's one off in this direction, there's one off in this direction. So you're going to run into neighbors, and you always have to be thinking about kind of choke points for keeping them out of your system, at least until wormholes and megastructures happen. So you can see that little dialogue just popped up, and it gave me that right there. Okay, so it says low stockpile. So here's what we're going to do to fix that. We're hemorrhaging some energy credits, probably because we are a mechanist society and we're punching out robots from the very beginning of the game. So it's doubling our population, and they consume energy, so they're not cheap. What we can do here is create an automatic trade. And I can go in here and I can say minerals. And what I want to do is I don't want to sell quite that many. Let's start off with 5. Oh, and I made a note of this in my planetary management tutorial, but just in case you don't know, if you hold the control key down, it goes by increments of 10. If you hold the the shift key down, it goes by increments of 100. We're going to sell 5 minerals a month automatically and see if that can't get us out of the hole. The other thing to notice is the game updates all these numbers at the end of the month. It does all its math once a month. So we're going to go over here, click, and there. And that almost got us out of the hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to go sell also maybe some food. We're going to add a monthly trip because food isn't, we're in the surplus, which is great.
Construction complete.
So I'm going to sell like 6 food. And at the end of this next month, now we're surplus for energy again, finally. So I use automated trades to stay in the black on energy credits as much as possible, at least until I can get a really nice, robust trade network set up. Because remember, every time we're building one of these things, like we're building an outpost to expand, or we're putting a building on this planet, or we're building a district, or we're building a robot, they all require energy credits to maintain. So this energy credits are one of the things you have to deal with as a species starting out. With robots from the very beginning, you do have a little bit of an energy thing going on. All right, here's the next tradition. So we can go rest of the way down this line. Pops keep working. Research have their upkeep reduced by 20%. If we go all the way down here, then one of the nice early ascension perks to get is a technological ascendancy. Research speed is increased by 10%, and rare technologies appear more often. So that's kind of why it's nice to go down to get discovery done, and then go up here to expansion is where I like to go next. So I'm going to do this, and now my scientist, we should be able to look and see. So now it says skill level 2 of 7, so his max level is moved up to 7 because of that. So that'll be good if he can stay alive that long.
Construction complete.
The Ute colony ship. There's a special project derelict colony ship.
Situation log updated.
And our overseer has gained a new trait. So this is something when your overseer gains a new trait. You can see that he started out with Started out with this, building costs were cheap, and leader level cap and gain, and now he's gained this one, ship weapon damage plus 5% and army damage plus 10%. So our leader has gained some traits. One thing you kind of don't want to neglect too much as soon as you start seeing other species is your ships. We have almost 1,000 alloys now. We probably need to build a few ships. So let's do that in the first episode. Let's go to the ship designer. Hit F9 to get here. And the game will automatically auto-generate one ship of each type as you unlock all the different ship types, from corvettes to destroyers and battleships. I'm going to turn this off. I like to make my own ships, even though I'm certain I'm not very good at it. So what I'm going to do is hit new design. And the only thing I can create is a corvette or a defense platform. So I'm going to create a new corvette. I have no section. This section gives me one small gun and a missile. This gives me 3 small guns, or point defense and 2 small guns. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to put a little reactor on here. You can see your energy. Here's your power down here. Shields require power, and armor does not. And you can see under each one of these for small, medium, large hulls. The power usage on this is 15, which is fine until I start putting guns on here too. This is a mass driver. If you hold over this, you can see its power usage is 5. Its cost is 10 alloys. It gives you all the stats breakdown on it, what it does for damage, what it does for accuracy, and its tracking, its ability to track other small ships, its range, and then it gives you the average damage, which is nice. But the part that I like to pay attention to is down the bottom. Plus 50% shield damage, minus 50% armor damage. Sometimes I'll run into enemy fleets that are all shields or all armor, and you want to put the appropriate guns on a fleet of ships to be to your advantage. Likewise, if you see an enemy that's using all weapons that do really hard damage to shields but that are weak against armor, you might want to outfit your fleets in full armor and forget about shields then. So in this case, to make kind of a balanced fleet, I go with 2 of those and a red laser, because the red lasers are the opposite. They do more armor damage and less shield damage. And this is just a little simple ship here. Sometimes what happens is my shield technology will far outpace my armor technology, for instance. So I will try my best to put as many shields on here as possible, because right now this is providing shield hit points of 50 and this is providing armor hit points of 50. But if I have a shield that's providing 200 shield hit points and all I have is armor tech that provides like 50 or 100, I'm going to try to put more shields on my ship. So we're going to build this. I'm going to turn on auto upgrade. And what that means is if I unlock a better version of a shield through research, I can automatically send my fleet and just say upgrade, and it'll go to the nearest starbase that has a shipyard, and it'll change all these shields over to the next to the best thing that I have. So I have a really weird naming scheme for my ships, and I'm gonna call this the KKA because it has 2 kinetics and then one that does damage against armor. Save that ship. I'm going to get rid of the default one. And then I'm going to go to my shipyard and I'm going to say make a couple more of these. You can see as I click on them, they cost 105 alloys. They also have a maintenance fee in energy, so that's something to take into account. I'm only going to build a couple more.
Research complete.
We have some research. Listening post issue special project listening areas. So there's that. We're going to take care of our research. We're going to grow a little faster, which is going to be fantastic. Out of the next thing, we got an additional research option thanks to our tradition. So this up here, research alternatives increased by 1, gave us more technology. I'm going to choose gene clinics. I like to put these down. What these do is make your population grow faster. So again, pop growth is kind of king. The faster your empire can grow, the better. So I'm going to grab that. And then I'm going to look at this constructor. I want him to go down here. We've encountered some form of alien vessels in the Chetris system. These strange objects have been tagged as Chetris until we can learn more about them. It issues another special project. And in an enigmatic spacefarers and news of alien ships humming through the ether have reached Bioforge Prime. So people are excited because you found some
System
aliens.
survey complete.
Oh, I want these minerals here. So that's going to be the next place that he goes. And then there's another one here.
Construction
This
complete.
is Savannah World in Chetros.
Anomaly found.
And this right here is an unidentified empire that has at least one station in the system. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, we need to sell more minerals now. We need more energy. And since our minerals are growing, it's a good thing. And this is why I say, don't chase energy credits when it comes to building things. Chase minerals, because you can always sell minerals for energy credits. But you have to have minerals to build things.
Construction
And
complete.
for upgraded maintenance. If you fall short on minerals, you're really handicapping your empire. But if you fall short on energy credits, you can get some
Anomaly
by just
found.
selling some other things. As soon as he gets done, issue special project Mount Graveyard Expedition. Clear evidence that a massive space battle took place on Chetros down in this system. So that's cool. So you can see we're piling up the special projects. Oh! And now we have received the transmission from the independent space station of the Rigan Commerce Exchange. They appear to have successfully translated our language. So these guys are not a faction. What they are is like a merchant or a mercenary group. And so what they see is, I speak on behalf of the Rigan Commerce Exchange. We have facilitated trade negotiations between interested parties on our station in the Chetros system for more than 1,000 of your years. If you happen to possess more resources than you need, we are more than willing to take it off your hands. You will be duly compensated, of course. So that is, you can see species up here, contacts as they call it on F1. These guys, this is the player empire, and these are a trader enclave. So if we go to communicate them, we are interested in strategic resources. And so let's see what you can do. You can say you can get 1 volatile motes for so many energy credits per month. These are all the deals they'll make with you. So we're not going to worry about that. Most of them are grayed out right now because we don't even have the funds for that kind of a thing. So we're not going to worry about it. But they're right here in the Chetros system. And there's a planet there too. So we haven't met anybody yet except for them.
Anomaly found.
Which is good. I don't want to meet anybody yet. And we got another research done. The fusion reactor's done. It said it would unlock all kinds of different things. Energy credits from technicians. So on our planet, this generator district provides technicians which they produce energy. So you can see the 2 technicians produce 8 energy credits. And if we go up here to research, it says energy credits from production 20% better. So that's not much now, but that's going to add up over time. So we're going to do that. And then there's 3 planets we can colonize, which is so exciting. I don't quite want to colonize anything yet. I prefer not to colonize anything until I can get this expansion technology up here.
Situation log updated.
One of the nice things about Stellaris is once you've built outposts in these systems, nobody else can come in here and colonize those planets. The probability conundrum. Got a report from Science Officer Yandan Ulto. It seems that a ceramic container is circling the star of Rosalis B most peculiar. It should obviously not be there, yet somehow it has managed to find its way into a close orbit. A special project can be issued to investigate the container and try to deduce how it ended up here. This one's always funny. All questions don't have worthwhile answers. We can earn some influence. I don't care about that. A conundrum worth investigating. Issued special project Improbable Ceramics.
Situation log updated.
Some of the stuff in the game is pretty funny. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate that it's not over the top humor, but it's still good. So you can see these special projects right here, these little icons. Some of these you can research, like this one and that one. So I'm going to have him now researching those before he starts surveying again. I want those projects researched. Actually, what I might do is get maintenance costs is what's going to remind me. I was thinking about a third science ship. So here we go. This 4th tradition Polytechnic Education leader experience gain is increased by 25%, and our leader level cap is increased by 1. So we're going to do that. I'm going to check something. Oh, and so now their levels go all the way up to 9, and their experience gain is going to be 25% better because the Polytechnic Education, you can see it. And Overseer Zeraxis is giving him a 20% bonus as well. So they went from a max level of 5 when we started the game to 9. You can see they're still only on level 2. But yeah, this is all to help you become to push your science faster. That's how you get ahead of the AI. Push your science up, get the technologies, complete. Build the ships so that you can
special project complete,
so that you can compete with them. So I'm gonna move this guy over here and claim this system.
Anomaly found.
Nobody's gonna come claim this system in the middle. If I go get this one, nobody's gonna come get this. So because of the influence cost. So I want him to go over here and get this so we can have that planet ready as well. I'm gonna go down here in this direction and colonize this stuff. Oh, and so the map, the Stars Edict has ended, and then the factions have been founded, your first factions. So let's talk about factions at the end of this episode here. Factions earn influence for you, and, well, let me see how I can explain this. You can see these guys right here. They have these issues, and if they're green, that means you're fulfilling their issues with whatever you've chosen for your policies and your government. And it'll show you how many people are part of that and what kind of approval they're getting. Factions can shift your governing ethics. So if we started out as authoritarian and we started out as fanatic materialist, and we want to stay that way, but over time, if you're not careful with things, factions can shift your ethics around to maybe something you don't want it to be. These guys are autocracy, autocratic rule. An imperial or a dictatorial authority will please the United as one party, or we started as an authoritarian government, so we're good with that. And a stratified society, allowing stratified living conditions. We already do. That's in policies, and I'll show you that in a second. And these guys, their only issue is they want to allow AI. Well, we started out as a robot race. So both these guys are pretty happy. All their issues are green, and they're going to earn us some additional influence. Now, in the policies section, F6, you have all these policies for how your government works. Sometimes a factional form that has a bunch of negative red issues. So their issues are going to be red, and they're going to have people associated with them. And if enough people grab onto them, and bad things can happen. But you can always go into your policies on F6 and you can switch some of these to appease these factions, and it might be something that you don't even care about. For instance, there are certain policies in here like refugees. Right now I have citizen species only. Some faction later on is probably going to come along and want me to welcome all refugees, and I actually don't have a problem with that, so I'll click this and change it for them, and it'll make their issue green, and they'll be happier, and we'll get more influence from it. So that's where we're at right now, this second. We haven't gone over everything. There's still some stuff on the top of the bar that we're going to get to. But for right now, that's the end of episode 1. So folks, thanks for watching, as always. If you like the video, hit the like button down bottom. If you like the content I put on the channel, you like my tutorials, hit the subscribe button. And as always, if you have a question or comment, just drop it down below. I'm happy to respond. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.